Hi friends, welcome back to my studio. I'm Katie and today I'm excited to demonstrate and play around and experiment with these Girl Boss Anna overlay tapes. So I got these on the recommendation of my friend Judy at JLBCrafts. I will link below to her video where she did an unboxing and some experiments of her own on them, and then I ordered these on Black Friday and they finally arrived. When I checked the shop recently, the shop was closed so that she could get on top of all of these orders because it's just a small business, but I will put the link below and I'm sure she will open her shop back up if you want to get these. So I got 4 different sets of these overlay tapes: the Wildflower, the Mermaid Melody set, the Moonchild set, and the Linen set. But she had a bunch more that I didn't get all at once, but will probably be going back for, if I'm being honest. And I made this swatch chart based on, again, Judy's recommendation. That's a different video I'll also link below, so that, you know, for example, if you wanted to pick this particular linen color, you would know that it's numbered 3, and then I just wrote in, I'm not sure here, with a Sharpie, I just wrote the letter 3 on the inside, so I know that if I take this tape, I will get this color. So that was from her video. But once I had gotten all of that ready, sorry, I'm dropping these all over the place, I wanted to play around a little with some other stuff, and once I thought it was pretty cool and I wanted to show them to you. So these are intended as overlay tapes for some of my scraps. So the intention here is that you can put them over the printed text and you'll still be able to see the text through it, and it just gives like a nice wash of color. This one is this darker one with a lighter one on top, so you can't really see through that one. That was mixed. As you can tell, this whole page is about experimenting. So that's what they're intended for. And then Judy has, in her unboxing video, here, I'll push these aside. So she has in her unboxing video a pen test where she tested all kinds of different pens to see what might be able to write on top of them, because they are like clear, glossy, and so your normal pens might not work great. So like gel pens have a tendency to like swipe right off. You can watch her video for that full run through, but she ended up really liking the friction ones, and so on her recommendation I bought them. And so you can write on top of them. You need to give it a couple seconds to dry. But then they do stay. Like this is a different, this is like a true gel pen, and it like just like swipes right off. This one, once it dries, it will stay there and it like doesn't bead up in the same way. But I have noticed, this is like one from last night, that's fully, this one here, that's fully dry, and when I just lightly go over it, it doesn't smudge or whatever, but if you like rub at it, it comes off. So that's just a thing to note. I don't think you're likely to be like rubbing with your fingers on your stuff, but just so you know, that is how the friction pens work. Really the right thing, like the best thing for this would be like a really thin, like permanent marker, or like a Sharpie or something. I don't have a really thin one with me, but here's just your regular one, and here, this is gonna just stay. And because of the tape, it doesn't bleed through, so that's really nice. Normally you know, a marker like this would bleed through the paper. So I'll give that a minute to set, but that has been kind of the conclusion for my experiments. I will be using the friction pens and maybe like an alcohol marker of some kind, like a Sharpie or some other permanent marker, if I want to write on top. But that is territory that's already been covered. So let's try something new. So I wondered what else might work well here. And why don't I bring it a little closer? I have these acrylic paint pens. I bought these as an alternative to the Archer and Olive acrylograph pens. They might be a little finer than the acrylographs, I'm not certain, but I've been really happy with them, and they're a lot cheaper. So these dispense paint, and you gotta shake them up really good. Okay, once it's mixed, I've already used this before, so I don't usually have to prime it or whatever, but if it's your first time using it, there are instructions. But now I can write on here. I'm not sure this was the right color, but I can write on here with the marker, the paint pen, let it dry, and here's my sample from last night, and it's just, I mean, it's on there. Maybe if I rubbed really hard, no, even then, it's not coming off. So I don't know that this is a reason to buy acrylic pens like this, but I like to use mine for my blackout spreads and for other things. Normally, again, it would bleed through the paper, but because it's on like the tape, that's totally fine. The last thing I wanted to experiment with is these dotting markers, and you can't dot on top of the overlay pens. That doesn't work over the overlay tapes. But what I wanted to see if I could do is how they would look under. So I was thinking maybe like for habit trackers. I still am pretty new at these. I'm working how big your circle is depends on the amount of force you put on there. And I haven't nailed that. But I thought this could be cool under like similarly colored tape, like that. And then, you know, you could do your habit trackers for this. I'd probably again use the permanent marker and Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And I thought that could be a really cool effect. Now, these do have a tendency to bleed through, or at least shadow pretty significantly. And obviously because they are beneath the tape doesn't help against that. But I think it could look really cool as like a series of habit trackers, and I track a couple habits every week, and so I'm always looking for ways to jazz them up, and I don't always like the pre-made stickers. So I think that's going to be really fun. Based on my experiments, I prefer these like in similar colors. So here's like a practice of the blue one I just showed. Here's the blue under one of the light beiges, and the beige kind of is on top of the blue in a way that I don't love, but I don't hate. I can think of situations where that would be that would be fine. This is an example of writing in my gel pen and then putting the overlay tape on top of it, and I think that works just fine too. So I think that could be a fun option. Is this focusing? Yeah. Okay, if you notice like all these black smudges, that's because I got a black ink on my hands yesterday, and then I transferred it to all of the clear tape as I was touching it. So that's a me problem. Don't worry about that. The last thing I wanted to show you, which I thought was really cool, is so these are translucent, right? That's why you can see something that's written underneath it. or, you know, these habit trackers. So I wondered what it would be like to layer them. So, for example, these are all the colors I have. But I wondered if I could combine them to make more colors. So like, how would these two look on top of each other for like a more yellow toned green? So if I want it overall to read more green than yellow, I'm going to put the yellow down first. And when your hands aren't covered in ink, they go down pretty clear. The clear is catching the light kind of funny, but they look nice and clear on the page. And then, now, pretty much all of these you can see on my swatches have the same shape. They're not exactly the same. I don't know if you can see it. These are a little shorter than those, and maybe that's a production thing. These are a little shorter than these, or a little longer, like the actual paint swatch. But they all have pretty much the same. These two have exactly the same shape, even though they're different colors. So what I can do is put them pretty much exactly on top of each other. And let me see if I can show this in a way that you can see it nicely. So that's the yellow, that's the green, and this color is kind of like a mossier yellow green. A little darker too, because they have become more opaque. Let's see what they look like in the other order. Let's try putting the green down first. And then the yellow. But this time what I'm going to do is, instead of putting them exactly on top of each other, I'm going to rotate one of them. And so they're going to not be exactly the same shape. And then you get kind of like a two-toned, three-toned effect. There's a part where it's just the green, there's the part where there's the yellow, and there's the part where these two overlap. So I think you can make some really cool effects by doing these. It's a little thicker, but it's really not that thick. I'm not that worried about it. And so, like, I could make these swatches into, you know, a lot more colors by combining them. I think they work best with, based on my limited experiments so far, they look best with colors that aren't too far from each other. But I think it could be really, really fun. All right, now it's also been a couple minutes. The Sharpie is totally dry, and let's just actually test it. So here it is right now. We'll give it just like a second. We'll see how long it takes. So it's smudged very slightly at the very end where like where my pen had rested, but that one dries really fast. This one is dry. If I go over it lightly, nothing happens. Again, if I rub at it, it'll come off. That's not a big deal. And this is totally dry. Nothing's coming off here. And these dots are underneath, so nothing's going to happen there. Oh, editing Katie here from the future. I forgot to talk about Blackout, which is one of the things I also wanted to test. So this is the paper from Light's Planner Action. When you order Blackout spreads from her, she sends like a little tester from the offcuts. And so these are the overlay tapes on here, and they show up way better than I expected. The like really light linen one, this one doesn't look great, but the more saturated color ones look pretty good. Not perfect, kind of like a little bubbly or whatever, but I think that would still look really cool in a blackout spread, and it's not totally washed out. And then you can see this wasn't the right color choice, but these are the acrylic pens on top, which I like to use. This is my swatch for those. I like to use these on this paper anyway. So I just wanted to give you a heads up. I did like fussy cut these, as you can see. They are normally cut as like straight rectangles, but because you can kind of see the clear on the page, I just took some scissors and like kind of fussy cut around them a little bit because I like that look better. But I think these could look really cool on blackout spreads. So I just wanted to come back on and mention that because they're really cool and definitely going to be a use case for me of these overlay tapes. So anyway, that's it for me. I hope you're as excited about these as I am. I'm not sponsored by Girl Boss Anna or have any deal with them. I bought these with my own money. I'm just excited about them, and I thought you might too. They come in a ton of different colors. These are not all of them by any stretch, and I think she's doing monthly releases of, so like this was the October 2021 release. That's the only monthly one I got, but I saw a number of other month ones on the website, and I'm gonna go back and get some more, especially if I'm like mixing colors. I think I'd like to have a red, and they're sold in sets, so sets of 4 or 5 it looks like. So I'll have to see what gets me where I want to go, but I'm really excited about these. So if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. If you have used the overlay tapes or want to, leave a comment down below so we can get excited about them together. I'll post a link right here to my favorites from 2021, from my first year of planning and how I went from like a total newbie to someone who makes some pretty intricate spreads, and so what my favorite things for those are. If you hit subscribe, my next video is going to be a walkthrough of my Q4 spreads, a flip through, so those are really fun. There are some really cool ones in this last quarter. So I will talk to you soon. Thanks so much for joining me. Bye, friends.